Hi, everybody. Welcome to another Team Cheeky panel. I'm Elliot Brecht with the Cheeky Scientist, and today I'm joined with Alejandra, Amanda, and Lisa. We're actually going to discuss a little bit about how you generate referrals, online and just in general as you're going through and trying to work your way into getting that job. As a PhD, there's a lot of different techniques that we sort of forget about what, those sort of differences are between actually connecting and networking. And, we were discussing a little bit before and found some really interesting stuff. And I'd like to ask Amanda to sort of tell us a little bit about some of the things that she's noticed that really sort of help someone to actually start generating those referrals.
Thank you, Elliot. So one of the things that I try to keep in mind whenever I'm doing any part of my job search is to always add value. And one way that you can do that is whenever you're networking with people, is to think about ways that you can help them. Can you see something that they aren't because of your unique perspective? I mean, you may think that since you're looking for a job, you have nothing to offer, but you do have, no matter where you are, unique insight that other people can find value. You could also think if that person is in a volunteer organization, can you volunteer to help them with the events that they're running? Is there an article that you came across that you can share with them that might help them make a decision about a problem they're facing in their job, or help them grow professionally? There are really a lot of things that you can do to help people. And when you help them, when you're the one who needs help, they're more likely to think of you, remember that you helped them, and try to return the favor.
No, that's actually really great, because everyone goes over and they think like, oh, I don't know anything about this company or this work or what they're doing. But like, that's not necessarily just adding value. Adding value is like treating them like a human being and doing all those other things outside of just that work. There is life outside of there, and there's other stuff that like they are doing, and just treating them like a human and not just a robot in a factory is how you add value to somebody. Actually, they're going to appreciate that a lot more if you're not just going over and saying, tell me XYZ that you do at work every day. Actually talking about other things, because they probably talk about work all the time at work and wouldn't mind talking about some of those other things. Lisa, you had something a little bit different. Would you mind sharing some of your thoughts on how to generate those referrals?
I don't think I mind at all. Thank you. So in addition to what Amanda already suggested, I would recommend also working to really build out your LinkedIn profile and your online brand. And different positions that you're targeting might involve a bit more of like other social media avenues as well. But just in general, you want to build out your online profile, your online brand, so that way you're representing the position that you want to enter into, right? And so it's you want to be future focused, right? You want to present the skills and experiences that you already have and how they are going to help you in pursuing the role that you're targeting. And a lot of times in a lot of PhDs, we don't have an idea of what position that we're targeting. We don't really know what we want to do. We know we have a PhD in whatever we happen to have a PhD in, or we're working on a PhD in whatever we happen to be working on. But beyond that, we don't really have a clue. So a good approach to help just start that process is to collect a bunch of different job descriptions that pique your interest, and then just put together a profile that aligns with what you're interested in actually doing day in and day out. And then work at building out your profile so that way you align your experiences to the position where you want to go. So that way, as you're adding value to your network, as you're building out your engagement on LinkedIn, because you want to comment on posts, you want to like posts of other people, you want to put out posts of your own, and all of this is going to help you build your brand, right? Because what you engage with, who you engage with, how you engage with them, the kind of things that you share, all of that is going to work at building out the kind of presence that you have online. And there's lots of ways that you can do this, and you can combine the whole adding value thing with your network as in line with building your online brand, because if you put together information that is relevant to the industry that you're focused on, or if, for example, every time I think about this, I always come up with, there's one member of our community who does a really excellent job, but there's lots of examples. But if we're focused on getting into a particular role and it's happens to be related to collating scientific information or things like that, then you can collate a bunch of different articles, a bunch of different, like what's in the news, what's in the company, like what's the company news about this, you know, what's the industry standard, like what's happening in the industry on this, and then putting that information together in a LinkedIn self-published article. That so anyway, so there's lots of ways that you can add value. There's lots of ways that you can do things, and all of this is going to work to build up your brand. So that way, as you're engaging with people online, they're going to see that this is a person who has these skills. This person is interested in doing these things. This person is capable of doing these things because like I can see the results and the accomplishments of what they're talking about in their LinkedIn profile and all that kind of stuff. And on just one last quick note, you all have accomplishments. I know we think we have a PhD in this and we don't have anything to add. We don't have any accomplishments that are relevant to industry. You all absolutely 100% guaranteed have lots of results and accomplishments to talk about that industry cares about. Academia, maybe not so much. Industry does.
No, that's actually really great points all about, because that's the thing is you're not necessarily having to add the value just one-on-one. You're adding value to like the whole group of area that you want to move yourself into. And so by doing these sort of things, you're adding value to everybody. And then you can link to, you know, the articles that you've published, liking other people's pushes their stuff up as well. So you're adding them that value indirectly, because once you start liking and commenting, more people are going to see it. So those sort of things are adding value to them as well. You know, those endorsements, those other things that you do on LinkedIn, just in general, pushing their, you know, their presence out as well adds value. And so you'll get these sort of things in kind. And as you're going through, and again, keep talking about adding value and, you know, treating the other person as, you know, more than just the science and asking them for a job. Alejandra, what is sort of some of the next sort of steps that you're going to try and do to sort of make sure you can get that referral? What's sort of one of the other things that you'll want to try and do?
Yeah, thank you, Elliot. Well, my advice in terms of generating referral is setting up informational interviews. I think informational interviews are a great way, just not only to generate referrals, but also if you don't know which position are a right fit for you, to get to know more about those positions and create that, like, just fine tune this job search strategy. But one thing is, Amanda and Lisa already said two very important things that you have to figure out before you start setting information interviews. Like, your online presence needs to be on point and you have to add value first. And then when you have that conversation going, you can just tell them, do you have 15 minutes to tell me about your job? And don't approach it like you're desperate for a job and you need a referral. Just let them talk. People love talking about their job, about how they got their job, everything. And then at the end, you can just mention, yeah, there's an opening in your company and I've seen, and I've been planning to apply. What do you think? And they might just offer, like, oh yeah, I've seen that. And because you have this online presence and you have all this credibility, they might just say, you can put my name in your cover letter. So that's my advice for generating referrals.
No, that's great, because it is, you don't want to go through and then just, you know, do the informational interview and then ask them for a job right off the bat. But that's how you're going to find out about like companies and whether or not you want to be in a fit there as well. I have an example which I always like to throw out, because I started doing tons of informational interviews before I transitioned, and I called some people at different companies and they basically straight up said, you do not want to work here. You know, like, I hate my job, I hate this company. It's like, oh, okay, that's good to know, because online and on paper they look great, you know, but like, no, they don't treat everybody fairly, or, you know, all these other details. And you find these things out by, you know, asking this person, you know, adding the value to them and, you know, having a conversation with them. Like, so how is your work-life balance? There is none. Like, oh, okay, well, I'm getting out of academia because I want some work-life balance. All right, well, maybe not that company. All right, maybe some people, you know, don't necessarily, they want to be in the lab all, you know, 80, 90 hours still, because that's their passion. That's different. But what you're sort of doing with all of these things is you're lowering that sort of activation energy of somebody to actually then give you the referral. So like, by treating them with like as a human, and, you know, adding value to them in lots of different ways, not just work wise, you know, doing those informational interviews where you're asking them questions, you're putting in a lot more of these effort. You're putting in the effort to brand yourself, to make yourself look like an expert in the area. So it makes it a lot less of an ask for them to actually then give you that referral, because it's like, oh, you're a nice person, you treated like me like a human. Oh, you're interested actually in the company and in my work, you know, you actually have a presence online. So like, of course you're a shoo-in for this job. It's not a difficult thing for me to do. So you've lowered that activation energy for them to actually then refer you, because you've put in all the extra energy to then do that. So like there's, you know, there's a balance there. So like you don't want to immediately just reach out to somebody and then say, I need a referral, because you've put in no energy. That's a big ask for someone who doesn't see your presence online, who you have not actually asked questions of, who you've not actually, you know, added value to them. So why are they going to do all of that energy and all that value to you without you having done some back? So you got to make sure that there is that balance. And because you're the one wanting to have that referral and you're the one who needs it generated, you've got to put in that energy, and you need to. And it's unfortunate. It's hard, but you can't put all your eggs in one basket. You need to be doing this with lots of different people. You need to be going through and doing, you know, adding value, making sure your branding is great, because that adds value to a lot more people, larger audience. But like to individuals doing the informational interviews with lots of different people, you need to do more than just like once a month and then be like, oh, I'm working with one person, I'll generate a referral that way. No, you need to be doing lots of them. You need to be lowering that activation energy for lots of people so that you can then get more and more referrals from people, because you just need to have that one yes, and then you're going to be able to get yourself that referral. So you've got to put in all that extra energy and it will come back, but you've got to put the energy in first to lower that activation energy for those who are going to give you a referral. So hopefully these tricks and tips and the information helps everybody. And again, this Team Tiki panel, and remember your value as a PhD and keep thinking and acting like an industry professional. Yes, Lisa?
Before we sign off, just one last thing. If you want to learn a bit more about all of this stuff, we are actually doing a webinar next Thursday, and the URL to register for it should be in the post above. So you can, if you're interested in learning more, you can register for the webinar, and we'll have lots of more, well, Isaiah will have lots more tips and tricks and all kinds of information for you. So.
That's well. All right. Thanks, URL side down, up, down. Bye, everybody.